Please be seated. Hello again. Know your face. Welcome again. This is to the Delta County Probate Court for the swearing-in ceremony, the investiture of Judge-elect Perry Lund. I'd like to welcome our current Judge Goebel and Judge Parks from the Delta County District Court. Of course, there's Perry and Senator Ed McBroom.
Yay.
Welcome to all of you. Yes. At the ceremony that we had about 15 minutes ago downstairs, I was reminded that we forgot to do the pledge, and I also said that if I made any mistakes, it was Nancy's fault. With that, I will ask if Senator McBroom can lead us in the pledge, and we'll begin our ceremony.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
What an honor it is to speak at my good friend's investiture ceremony. Those who don't know Perry Lund very well know him as a serious man who doesn't joke around. The rest of us are usually the butt of his jokes. Oh, Perry is quite the jokester. In fact, during Judge Goebel's send-off ceremony the other day, while I was getting choked up like Dick Vermeil watching Charlotte's Web, Perry was firing up the roaster, and roast he did. Poor Judge Goebel took more jabs that day than a heavy bag in a prison gym. But I promised myself that my turn at the podium at this investiture would not be trivialized with levity. No, this is, after all, Perry's day, and this is not the time for joking around. Okay, it's time. You normally wouldn't think of a departing judge of 40 years as being replaceable. That's an awful lot of wisdom and experience to have walk out the door. Yet, I'll bet that if you were to ask Judge Goebel whether he believes that somebody could pick up where he left off without missing a beat, his answer would be short and direct: Perry Lund. Those of us who know Perry best couldn't agree more. I've known Perry for over 20 years. He's very easy to underestimate because he tends to be reserved and he goes about his business without much fanfare or talk. He's happier in a fishing boat than in a crowd, and he tends to be a bit of a bookworm when it comes to his job. In fact, if you were to say the same things about the outgoing judge, you probably would describe him to a T as well. But the similarities don't end there. Both men have a voracious appetite for learning and have completely and utterly immersed themselves into serving the probate court. They've done so to such a degree that you'd swear that it was their singular purpose in life. It is for these reasons that they've each earned the unconditional trust and respect of the entire probate court staff, a staff that can rest assured that the leadership of the one will carry forward the leadership of the other. But there are also differences between our incoming and outgoing judges. Perry likes to dress sharp and keep his hair neatly combed. Judge Goebel, well, let's just say that Judge Goebel has been known to treat his hair the way that a hurricane treats palm trees. Although he was once complimented about his hair by a client of mine during a hearing. True story. A mental health hearing. On the other hand, Judge Goebel has been correctly pronouncing my last name from the moment I met him. For Perry, on the other hand, the struggle is real. My transition from Economopolis to Economopolis and back again has been a 20-year work in progress. All kidding aside, however, Perry's mind belongs in the Supreme Court, his heart belongs on a pedestal, and with the amount of Mountain Dew that he chugs every day, his kidneys belong in a jar of formaldehyde. Now, I'm not saying that Perry drinks too much soda pop, but his 45-year-old dentist retired a wealthy man 15 years ago. But his soda pop addiction has been put to good use. And I say this with all seriousness. The hours he works are truly incredible. I know this firsthand because I'm quite the courthouse gym rat myself, pulling some ungodly hours night after night, and I know Judge Parks is too. It's quite common to see his truck here in the evening and still see it when I leave late at night. Work ethic is one of those elusive qualities that you either acquire at an early age or you never do at all. Our newest judge has a high motor, a sharp mind, and he throws himself into his work like nobody I've ever seen. Delta County is so very lucky today to have this judge lead this court. There's not a single attorney whom I've ever encountered in the entirety of my career, whether in Delta County or elsewhere, in the farthest reaches of this great state, who can match Perry Lund when it comes to fitness for this job. Nobody even comes close. He got here the hard way, the right way. Around 20 years ago, he took the risk of leaving private practice as a rising young attorney to come and serve Judge Goebel at the Delta County Probate Court as a juvenile probation officer. Make no mistake about it, from a purely financial perspective, this was a risky step. He started out working in the afternoon and evening shift, and there were no guarantees of upward progression within the probate court. Also, once you leave private practice, it can be very difficult to get back in. The clients whose trust you worked hard to earn have moved on to other attorneys, and the pathways that you worked hard to cultivate have grown 1 or 2 layers of moss. It was very possible that Perry had condemned himself to a sort of career purgatory by leaving what he had to join Judge Goebel's staff. However, there were several things working very heavily in his favor: his patience and work ethic, and also Judge Goebel's willingness to guide him and mentor him along the way. As time passed, Juvenile Officer Lund became Juvenile Referee Lund, and he held that post for the duration of his career until this day. As a juvenile referee, he presided over thousands of child abuse and neglect hearings, as well as juvenile delinquency hearings. As the court's referee, he handled virtually every task that a probate judge would otherwise handle without actually being a probate judge. And he didn't just punch in and punch out of his job. As I've said, he worked like a dog, year after year, night after night. He paid his dues like few ever had. His decisions as referee were always sound, just, and rooted in the law. It was the ultimate job training for a man with the ultimate will to patiently strive for his goal. It is for these reasons that I say emphatically that the successor to Delta County's greatest and longest-serving judge had to be one specific person. It had to be Perry Lund. He is the single attorney among us who could ever come close to filling Judge Goebel's shoes, and he leaves everybody else in the dust. But it wasn't only Perry who apparently had this vision. Many years ago, shortly after I had just opened my new law practice, Perry was just in the beginning of his apprenticeship in probate court. Judge Goebel, Perry, and I were together in the courthouse between hearings, and we came down to the lobby to get a soda pop, probably Perry's 5th of that day. And as we left the vending machine and headed back to the elevator, Judge Goebel spontaneously said, "Both of you are going to be judges in this building someday. It's preordained." Now you have to understand that Perry and I were still in the diaper stages of our careers. And for the judge to go out on a limb and say that was quite a leap of faith. So much so that neither Perry nor I knew what to say. But that was the confidence that Judge Goebel had in us, and he backed us with his mentorship during every step of our careers. The takeaway from this is that Judge Goebel will be available to give you tomorrow's Powerball numbers after this ceremony. When I think about Judge Goebel, I think about how hard it'll be to see him go. When I think about Perry Lund, I think about how hard it'll be to see Judge Goebel go. It was just one last. I'm sorry. My friend, welcome to the only career where being benched means that you're actually starting. Judge Lund, it is my honor to call you Your Honor. Congratulations. Judge Goebel and Judge-elect Lund up so we can conduct the swearing-in ceremony. I'll take the robes. Tanya, come on up. I'll start by investing Judge-elect with his robes.
I've been told I have an opportunity to say a few words, and I want to make them very few words. I could not be as articulate as Judge Escanaba about Perry Lund and his qualifications, so I'll not go through those. I would just mention that I know him not only from the legal standpoint, but he's an avid hunter and fisherman, as I am, particularly the hunting. We've done a fair amount of fishing, a lot of hunting together. We've hunted pheasants and whatnot in North Dakota. He's a real gentleman. He's the real deal, and the county is going to be well served by him. And I don't need to really say more than that. And at this time, I'm going to give him his oath of office. So so that we can all move on from here. I'm going to try to do it as good as Tom did.
Yes, you were.
Please repeat after me. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of this state,
and the Constitution of this state,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of Delta County Probate Court Judge
of the office of Delta County Probate Judge
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability.
so help me God. Congratulations. And I'll sign my part of that. Mr. Lund, would you like to say a few words?
Yes, I would.
Told us for our speeches, we didn't know whose was whose. He was about to roast himself.
First, I want to thank everybody for coming here. I thank Judge Escanaba. It's an honor to take over from Judge Goebel. I want to thank my wife Tanya. She's been a biggest supporter. She may be more excited than I am here. I want to thank my family. I have family and friends here. I have family sitting over here. I want to thank family for showing up. I want to thank the 11,000 plus voters that actually instilled confidence in me and checked the box to elect me. I want to thank the various politicians, Ed McBroom, Tom Casperson, Bo LaFave. They've been strong supporters of the judiciary, and they have always supported the judiciary. I just want to remind Ed, we are on Eastern Standard Time. I want to thank the probate court employees, Tammy, Jason, Leslie, Jess, Matt, Lindsay, Trudy, Paula, Ben. I couldn't ask to inherit a better staff than Judge Goebel. They are like family. We are like family. I also want to thank former court employees that I've worked with. And I want to thank all the other employees of the courthouse. I've worked in front of the court for the past 2 years. I'd like to thank the staff down there as well. I want to thank Judge Parks, and Judge Konopoulos. For you that don't know, Judge Parks, Judge Konopoulos, they're the hardest working judges along with Judge Goebel. I can tell you this is the hardest working bench in the state of Michigan. So thank Judge Parks, thank you for your service. Judge Konopoulos, thank you for your service as well. And then lastly, I want to thank Judge Goebel. He's worked for the county for 45 years. Last 40 years, he's been on the bench as Delta County Probate Court. That's probably the longest serving judge in the state of Michigan. In that capacity, I know he is right now. I couldn't have a better mentor than Judge Goebel. Judge Goebel, thank you. I promise I won't make a long, rambling speech here tonight, even if the probate staff was eagerly anticipating one of my intriguing speeches that usually has them sitting on the edge of their seat with unbridled anticipation as I explain the intricacies of such issues as proper procedure for waiving over a juvenile in the adult criminal justice system in accordance with the traditional waiver proceedings. With that said, I must apologize to Tammy Mattoon, as I know she was anticipating such a speech. So Tammy, sorry, you're not going to hear that speech. If you want, you can come up and touch the robe. meltdown laughing because she couldn't believe I put a robe on today. So. And then I want to start off by answering two important questions posed by people I knew who knew I'd be taking the bench here tonight. First, yes, if you have a will, it needs to be probated. Secondly, yes, there will be food and refreshments tonight after the room has invited everyone over to the Biosphere Center for a reception. So I thank Ed for his generosity. Cleaning staff's going to appreciate that very much, especially given the party that took place here Monday night for Judge Goebel's retirement party. I don't know if cleaning staff has gotten the frosting out of the carpet yet or not. I didn't want to start my probate judge career being on the cleaning staff's naughty list, so I don't appreciate that. Judge Kanopoulos, he did mention where I started. I think it's symbolic that my swearing-in takes place in this courtroom here tonight. Judge Goebel has presided in this courtroom for the majority of his 40 years on the bench. Some of those early years were spent in the courtroom downstairs before the courthouse had the second story added. But the majority of Judge Goebel's tenure on the bench has been spent here in this courtroom. My very first trial occurred in this courtroom back when I first began practicing law in the county back in the mid-1990s. At the time, I had just finished law school, returned to Delta County and took a position with the local law firm of Folsom, Philaramo, Jarvie, and McNamara. I gained valuable experience from Gary, John, and Ann at that firm. I hadn't been employed there but for a few months when the phone rang. It was Judge Goebel on the other end. I'd only been introduced to Judge Goebel a short time prior to that. Judge Goebel called, wanted to know how things were going, and asked me if I'd be interested in taking a jury trial that was pending in his court. He explained that it was set for a 5-day jury trial, that there were some horrific allegations that involved rape and gunfire in the home. He explained that Assistant Prosecutor Mary Weiss was prosecuting the case. Even at that young stage in my career, I knew Mary Weiss was a top-notch prosecutor. Judge Goebel, in his reassuring and competent manner, said I had nothing to worry about. I'd be representing the father in the case. Attorney Tom Slagle, who is now the probate judge of Difference County, he'd be representing the mother. Trials were consolidated, so Judge Goebel said you have nothing to worry about. Seasoned Attorney Slagle, he'd be taking the lead in the defense of the case, and all I needed to do was follow his lead and follow on his coattails. I was also left with the firm impression that from the defense attorney's standpoint, the case was hopeless. But even at that rate, Judge Goebel assured me, just let Attorney Slagle take the lead and follow that lead. Judge Goebel told me this wasn't the type of case he would appoint a young attorney for his first jury trial, especially a 5-day jury trial. With Tom Slagle taking the lead, nothing to worry about. I prepared diligently for the first jury trial. Even Judge Goebel's advice, that was to just follow Attorney Slagle's lead, he just fine. The trial neared closer, and I continued to prepare. Finally, the trial was set to begin on a Monday morning. I was in my office on a Friday afternoon making final preparations for Monday morning's jury trial when the phone rang. It was Judge Goebel. He began to speak. His voice wasn't that reassuring as it had been in prior conversations. He inquired how my prior trial prep was going. He then told me, by the way, I do want you to notice, Attorney Slagle was just in court and he put his client. So you're going solo. I think Judge Goebel was expecting me to ask for an adjournment given the circumstances, and maybe even he felt just a little bit bad for me given the circumstances. And the response to Judge Goebel was, I'm prepared. So at 8:30 a.m. on that Monday morning, some 22 years ago, I sat in a chair right here at defense table and tried my very first jury trial against Assistant Prosecutor Mary Weiss without a snowball's chance in hell of winning. I did win a moral victory, however, when the jury was out deliberating past the 1 hour mark. Even Mary Weiss made a comment that was unusual in these type cases. Eventually, the jury came back finding jurisdiction, thus ended my first jury trial in this courtroom in front of Judge Goebel. A few months later, my telephone rang again. It was Judge Goebel on the phone. He explained that he had no in on his court-appointed contract in probate court, and he wanted to know if I wanted to do court-appointed work for him. Apparently, I had made an impression on him trying that initial case. I didn't think I made that type of impression, but apparently I did. I gladly accepted court appointment and took court-appointed cases for probate court while still working as associate attorney at law firm. Approximately 4 years later, a job opening came available here at probate court. The job opening was for a juvenile probation officer. I made a career decision at that point that I wanted to work for probate court, and I'd take whatever job was available. So in went my resume for juvenile probation officer working the evening shift. Judge Kanopoulos alluded to that. I went through the interview process and got a call a few days later from Judge Goebel. He asked me if I'd come down to his office to talk to him. Down in his office I went. Judge Goebel indicated that I was the top candidate for the job, but it was highly unusual that an attorney with approximately 5 years' experience would be interested in an entry-level juvenile probation officer job. I explained to Judge Goebel that probate court is where I wanted to work, and I was willing to take the job if offered to me. Judge Goebel offered me the job on the spot. He always did have good instincts. And I had the task of explaining to the partners at the law firm that I was going to accept the position at probate court. The partners asked me to consider as they were preparing to offer me a partnership in the firm. I graciously declined, and on January 4, 2000, I began working as a juvenile intensive probation officer for Delta County Probate Court. Even a very promising legal career for a future that had a lot of unknowns, I was willing to take the gamble. When I began working for probate court, Dick DeCamp was a juvenile referee. Dick was a great mentor and a great friend. Shortly after I began working here, I was sitting in Dick's office one day having a conversation with him about the future. And Dick told me he was happy I'd come to work for probate court, and commenting on the future, he said, "You know, someday you could be the probate judge. Judge Goebel can't be the probate judge forever." Got one hell of a run. Just to put that in perspective, when I tried my first jury trial in front of Judge Goebel, I was a newly licensed attorney. I just obtained my state bar card to practice law, and things were great as a new attorney. Fast forward, Judge Goebel's still on the bench like the Energizer Bunny. And 3 years ago, I got my AARP card. Don't laugh, your card is coming in. Unfortunately, we lost Dick DeCamp way too early. See, Dick's portrait is in the back of the courtroom. With his passing, Judge Goebel appointed me to the position of hearing referee, and that's the capacity I've served in for the past 17 years. Technically, I worked for Judge Goebel, but it's always seemed like I was working with him, not for him. He just made it feel that way, and he worked on thousands of cases over the years. The case which will stand out has become known as the Rapid River case. 2 years ago on the snowy St. Patrick's Day, I took the initial call on that case and conducted the initial hearing and removed 2 innocent girls from a neglectful home. After I did the initial preliminary hearing, I told Judge Goebel, this case is different. I just had that sense that that case was going to be different. On that day, we had no idea how that case was going to unfold. Simply put, that case shall serve as the benchmark for all future judges handling neglect and abuse cases. Judge Goebel set the mark in that case. I think everyone in this courtroom followed that case in the media. I don't need to discuss it. With that case, I learned a lot from Judge Goebel and other cases over the years. I learned a lot, but I have to say I learned more about what it means to be a judge from how Judge Goebel handled that case than all the other cases combined. I could not have asked for a better mentor than Judge Goebel for me to take the probate bench. I do make this commitment to you, having been sworn in as Delta County's next probate court judge, that I'll apply the same sincerity and diligence that Judge Goebel applied in that Rapid River case and all the cases he has presided over for the past 40 years. Children of Delta County, under my leadership as probate judge, they will be protected. Attorneys and parties coming before the probate court, they'll be treated fairly, they will be treated with dignity, and they will be treated with respect. Judge Goebel's legacy shall continue on when I take the probate bench on January 1st, 2019. That is the commitment I make to the people of Delta County as your next probate judge. Thank you.
Well, you're all welcome to come over to the Boniface Center to continue fellowship and celebrating Perry's investiture and some Christmas greetings. So thank you all for coming.
Thank you all, and congratulations, Barry.